Today, we really want to focus on maintenance and using best practices in maintenance. I think this is really key, and we'll talk about it more, because maintenance is so much a part of our lives in the IT area. Today, we're going to focus on just a general overview of some background on what is maintenance, and there's a variety of interpretations. We'll review some best practice frameworks. Some of you may be very familiar with this. I think the key and a novel aspect of this is how to provide both CMMI and ITIL together, combine them to focus on assisting us in implement a very excellent maintenance activity within our organizations. And then we'll spend a little bit of time at the very end on how to get started if you're interested in doing this. That's always key in trying to make it a little bit more practical and give you some steps and guidance for that. We'll start with maintenance. We'll start with our introduction. As we all know, we live in a very, very volatile global competitive economy. Things are constantly changing. The market goes up, the market goes down. We seem to be on a little bit of an uptick in the last 5 or 6 months, but we're all concerned that something else could happen and change it. Gas prices are going up. Gas prices tend to not go down. It makes for a very challenging time. And to survive, every one of our organizations, our business organizations, need to be excellent at what they do. And they constantly have to improve. Competition can come anywhere in the globe, from Europe to China, South America. It's happening every day. And we constantly have to create new products, new services, constantly innovate, and focus on improving the products and services that we have. Constant improvement is a necessity today. We all know that. We also all know that IT plays a big role in helping most companies compete. Without IT, many organizations would totally have to shut their doors. This includes most insurance companies today, many banks. Many of the products and services we have today are based on foundation of IT. Even manufacturing organizations, to get an order through into the system and to build anything from a car to a new cell phone radio, I need to be able to have IT systems to support that activity. Now, we all know that too. We all know that IT is made up of a number of components. There's the infrastructure side, the heavy hardware, the servers, the networks, all the software licensing, which is a big aspect of that. In addition, there's the application development. Now, I really want to look at application development as two aspects. One, maintenance, and two, new application development. Typically, new application development focuses on either brand new applications that have never been written, replacement applications for existing legacy applications, or potentially major enhancements to existing legacy applications. But the real key is when we really start looking into it, although we really like it to be much different, the IT maintenance activity in applications development is often 50% of the application development budget. That's a huge number. What we want to do with this presentation and with this whole discussion is talk about how we can make that 50% more effective and potentially more efficient and reduce it so we can spend more time developing new applications for the application development area. Key aspect of that is we have this volatile environment. We have legacy maintenance. How can we get better at that? And I contend that an excellent way of getting better at that is to provide excellent processes as well as excellent staff to our organizations, and that we need that to survive and thrive. The two processes that I really want to talk about that most affect us within IT are CMMI and ITIL. I consider these best practice frameworks because neither one gives you the detailed cookbook of how to implement the processes in your organization. They're all much higher level and need to be modified and refined to your organization's needs. But using them together with the economy the way we have can help us become much more effective in the maintenance activity. Now, key aspect is, what is maintenance? what is this 50% of our budget? Well, some common definitions, and I just took this out of a software engineering text because it's as good as any. There's corrective maintenance, fixing production defects. That's what we think of as our typical break fix activities that are going on in the organization. But there's a lot more other activities going on too. Adaptive maintenance. I have to modify my code for changing environments. We're now getting Windows 7. Some applications are going to run on it. Some are going to have to be modified. Most are going to have to be modified to take maximum benefit of the new operating system. We get operating system changes in our mainframes and Unix. These are constantly changes, regulatory changes, changes from how we do accounting practices. We always have to make changes to our code just to stay up to date with what's currently going on. Then there's this area of preventive. A lot of times we'll see an area that's really pretty messy and say, before that catches us in a problem, let's fix it and go forward. It may be changing from one database to another because of size requirements or efficiencies. It may be that we have one application area that's really very, very messy that could be rewritten and be less spaghetti-like code. One client I work with, there was one module that every week was changed for some production reason for going on literally hundreds of weeks. That's many years. And a key area there may have been, instead of changing it every week, maybe you wanted to rewrite part of your architecture so you wouldn't have to constantly make these changes. Every time you make a change, there's a chance of making a mistake. Then we have preventive maintenance, adding enhancements that to the application to make it better than it is. A lot of times, this may be a question, should this or should this not be considered a maintenance activity? But for now, let's assume it is. And then there's the whole area of providing support. A lot of times we don't look at that, yet some of our interfaces are very fragile. We may have an interface to a major incoming file that's being transferred to us every night that we really have a window to get it between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. If their system's late for any reason and we get it at 3:30, it may delay the whole start of the next day's processing. So there's a lot of times we need people to be available and there constantly to monitor these activities or just to answer questions to the users of how something's working or not working. Oftentimes, as we see, maintenance contains a lot more than fixing defects. If we were just fixing defects, our maintenance costs would probably be 5% or 10% range versus 50% of our budget. So maintenance is expensive. Let's put it into real dollar terms as an example. Assuming we have a mid-sized organization with maybe 100 to 200 developers, $10 million budget for all of IT, application development. The maintenance costs are for new, roughly $5 million. For maintenance, $5 million overall. For corrective maintenance, $1 million. For adaptive maintenance, $2 million. And you can see these are some numbers that I've got from prior studies with organizations when we drill down. So you see that corrective maintenance is just, in this case, 10% of the overall budget, but all these other maintenance activities add up. There was one client I was working with that there was a $2 million new application development being done for a client under the maintenance budget. One of the reasons there was that the support organization had a problem the year before, and this was sort of payback to the client so that they wouldn't have to pay as much in terms of new development. There's also the issue that a lot of times it's easier to get maintenance and fixed projects approved than new development projects, and so a lot of activity of new development, quote-unquote, perfective maintenance goes under that activity, where it really should probably be considered